Do you feel alone or unsupported on your journey? Stay tuned and listen to our discussion about what you might be able to do that could help you. Now you could look at this in two different ways. One, that you are the one who's not being supported and you are being forced to be alone. Or on the other hand, that you are not supporting other people and you are making them alienated from you, which makes you feel alone. I am guilty of both. Here's how. Okay, I have been blessed with a wonderful family, a lot of siblings. We were all raised pretty much the exact same way. But it got to a point where we started to see things differently. My experiences were very different from theirs. And it's all on the spiritual level. When I was younger, I tried to get them to see things the way that I saw them.
What do you mean?
Meaning, I started to believe in past lives from experiences that I was having. And I was trying to convince them about past lives. But we were raised not to believe in that was all, stuff from down where you know who comes from.
Okay.
So we would end up in a lot of arguments, butting heads, and it would just be a challenge. I did learn though, and that was me pushing them away basically. So I was creating that separation. That's how I was making myself feel alone and unsupported because
you were trying to force your perspective on them.
Right, yes.
You didn't realize that?
No.
Because in your mind, what you were learning was so, I guess...
valuable.
Uh-huh.
I treasured it.
But for them, it's not.
Right.
And you didn't try to see their perspective.
No.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So then I was told through my husband, he relayed a message to me from Mother Mary that I need to stop that and see things differently. And understand that we're at different levels of understanding. They see things one way, I see it this way. It's not right, it's not wrong. One level's not higher than the other. It's just different. Their understanding at this point in time is what they need in their life. My understanding is what I need for my life and my journey. Once I developed that perspective, then my attitude changed. I didn't feel alone or unsupported anymore. And I could sit and have conversations about spirituality with my siblings. It was really pretty much them doing all the talking. And when they're done, I would say, okay, thank you very much for expressing what you think and how you feel. I truly appreciate it. And then they might try and push their point some more. And again, I'd say, thank you again for expressing yourself. I really appreciate it. I did not argue anymore. I still don't argue with them. I just listen because I understand now. They're at a different level of understanding than I am. That's it.
Question.
Yes.
I'm the pupil in the classroom.
Yes.
So when you said that you would tell them that you appreciate them expressing whatever it is they express.
Right.
Were you being honest about that?
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
In the beginning, no. Okay. I didn't appreciate it because part of me still wanted to just grab them and say, come on, dude, listen to what I'm saying too. But I understood, you know what, I need to be grateful that they are opening up to me and sharing with me what their thoughts are, even though I don't see it the same way. It's not a matter of agreeing with them or anything. It's just, I don't see it the same way.
Right.
So in the beginning, yes, it was forced saying that. But now I really do just appreciate it. At least they're saying it and they're getting it off their chest, which hopefully is helping them because it's helping me just to know where they are and, how we can interact together at a more loving level and way.
Right. Okay. Are we done with that? So that was that was a big thing there.
Right.
So now I remember, and this is before you and I think we had just started working closer together in our business. one of your sisters was about to get married, and you had been mentored by somebody else. You were still being mentored by somebody else at that point. And I remember you coming to me and saying that you weren't going to attend your sister's wedding. And I remember asking you why you would do that. You remember that conversation?
Vaguely, very vaguely.
Okay. And you said because you had to be at this training, at this company training in Las Vegas.
Right.
And that you've been told that that's very important. And I asked you, by who? And then you told me about this mentor of yours.
Right.
And I looked at you and I said, family comes first. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Right? And I bring that up because you talked about pushing family away. And that's definitely one way you can push a family member away, right?
Right, and that wasn't even from the spiritual.
It wasn't.
That was strictly just business, me trying to make it in the business world.
But how being mentored by someone with a different mentality,
Yes.
a different priority, and you following that individual can cause challenges for you.
Yes.
See, so I bring that up because how many people are out there searching for a better life, but because they don't know, they're desperate for help, they just choose any mentor. And without them realizing it, they're literally pushing away their loved ones, just like you were doing at that point.
That's right.
But do you remember what happened at that point?
Oh,
What did I tell
you told me to change my flight and be there for my sister's wedding.
Right.
So I did. I took a red-eye flight and I made it there the morning of my sister's wedding, and I was there for the wedding.
Okay. Because we have to know everything we do has to be out of love.
Right.
You see? And Jesus said it. You have to act out of love. And that was a great example there. And that was even before now. I already knew the teachings.
Right.
You didn't, maybe...
I did. It was
my
not
friend, okay.
really into the teachings
Right.
yet.
So you could see that even then, you were already being influenced by the teaching, but you didn't realize it.
Right.
Because you and I were not close enough where you didn't even, you had no idea what I was doing, except
Correct.
that there I had that conversation with you. But again, that's a great example of how if we make decisions about who we tend to follow and who we're listening to, how it can affect us in a negative way. And you were about to go down a really bad road there.
Yes.
Where the relationship with your sister could have just gone really bad. It hasn't been great, but at least you can say that you were there for that wedding.
Right.
Got it? Same thing here. As people go on this journey, they can get excited by being exposed to something. You hear our dogs there, folks? We apologize for that. Being exposed to something that they're very excited about. But they don't really take into consideration how their actions are negatively impacting their loved ones.
Right.
And that should always be looked at. And if you're with the wrong mentor, you could wind, and I say wrong in this case because I've seen that happen, like in your case, they could wind up destroying their family life and destroying their relationship and literally believe that they're making the right choice.
Correct.
This is where 190 Vision comes in, because everything that the Ascended Masters teach us is about unconditional love. It's not about separating from your family. It's about learning how to love your family, even if there are different perspectives within that family. It's not about one person is right, one person is wrong, one is a lazy bum, and the other one works really hard. One is always talking about being poor, the other one is talking about being wealthy. Like polar opposites, right?
Right.
You can still exist if you understand the teachings and how to apply them. So this is what this video is about. So like I said, if you're feeling isolated, then it's time through this video, hopefully, that you'll find some answers that could remove that feeling of isolation or feeling lonely.
Right.
So, you want to continue, or?
Sure. I'm trying to think of another example off the top of my head.
Well, I could come up with many of them, and I know that this is one of our trainees. I'm sure she won't mind me using this example, where she was not getting along with her mom because her mom chose to switch religions. You know, her mom decided to become a Jehovah's Witness, I think it is.
Okay.
The ones on Saturdays.
Right.
Or Adventist. one of them.
Seventh-day Adventists
Seventh-day
and Jehovah's
Adventists,
Witness both go on Saturdays as far as I know.
I think it's Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay.
But it's one of them.
Uh-huh.
And she really didn't like that idea. You know, and I remember when she spoke to us about it, she talked about how she doesn't want her mom, she don't know what her mom was thinking. You know, she's getting no benefit from that group. I remember when I spoke with her, I asked, well, how do you know she's not getting any benefit from it? You know, and once we talked about what the Ascended Masters have taught us about religion, and how religion, the way the Ascended Masters have taught us to look at religion, is that as long as religion brings a group of people together and they are accomplishing something good for everybody within that group, then it's serving its purpose.
Right.
You know, and our perspective should be based on what that group is doing as far as, is it for their greatest good? And if it is, then we have to congratulate them. We don't turn against them because of the name of the group.
Right.
Which we know in regular religion, that's a common thing, right? They have the ones that are the major religions and they look down on the other ones. They even look down on each other. In our personal experience, we've seen where even within one religion, certain groups look down
on each other groups.
Exactly.
But that's also an example of where you can turn and say, well, that person changed that religion just so you can have a better understanding, because they have a different level of understanding now. So they've moved on because of their level of understanding changing. So now it's time for you to change your perspective and understand. Again, it's all back to understanding, and realize that, you know what, they're moving on because they have a different level of understanding, and I'm at where I am because of my understanding. So maybe I should just listen and just be supportive in my own way. Because I know with my parents, when I started to get more into all the spiritual work with my husband, and healing work was being done, and even clearing work, which, you know, with my parents, they were raised that only a priest could do that kind of thing. But, you know, I listened to what my parents said. I didn't argue with them, and I just thanked them and let them know, you know, by telling me all this, I know that you love me, and I will make sure to take into consideration everything you've said. Done. There's nothing else to say. No arguing. I mean, I understand what is taking place here because of where we are in our lives.
Okay. That's very good. I thought you were going to, I'll add to that the fact that for someone to switch, let's say from one religion to another, it's simply because their frequency is with that religion that they're going to. You know, that's where they feel most comfortable. That's where they feel that they're receiving some type of benefit compared to where they were. So you're right, it goes back to they're at a different level now, and whatever that level is, they feel more
comfortable?
Well, it's more than comfortable. They feel that there's more benefit for them.
Okay.
With that new group. Okay, so how can you tell that person that they just made a bad decision?
Right, especially if they're acting out of love still and improving.
Exactly. You know, that their actions are positive.
Right.
It's not like they went out and started taking drugs or drinking a whole bunch of alcohol.
And their life started spiraling in a downward fashion.
Now there's something wrong, right?
Right.
But if you see that everything they do, it continues to be good and loving, how could that be wrong? You know? It doesn't matter what the name of the group is. So now we move on to something else. And now here you are, you've adopted a new way of life, right? Your perspective is different. And let's say you're with a partner or you're married to someone, like let's say you and I in this case, and so you are excited about this past life, and then I come in, oh, here's a good one. You love dancing and I don't. You're trying to get me to dance, like, get away from me. Strange woman, right? Well, how do you feel about that? Because that might not be a big deal, but you really love dancing.
Right. Well, in the beginning of our relationship, our marriage, it bothered me a little bit. But as I've grown and matured, I realized, you know what? I don't have to dance with my husband. I could dance by myself. I could go dance with another friend or with our kids or anybody else. I don't have to have my husband there. Leave him be. That's where he's comfortable. I'm going to do what makes me feel comfortable as well and makes me feel happy. And my husband doesn't mind watching me dance. So
Well,
it's a win-win.
What do you mean dance with anybody else? But what do you mean by that? You're gonna dance with some stranger
family,
out there?
friends. No, not strangers. People we know,
Don't
of
go
course.
flirting out there with dancing. I'm watching you. Folks, my wife is thinking about this whole flirting thing. So what do you do now? I come out when I take a break from working and you're out there dancing with the kids. All together, you guys are having fun. Right?
Yes.
Again, it goes back to perspective. You accepted the fact that that's not something you want to do. I love football, the real football.
In America, we call it soccer.
And my wife does not want to sit down to watch the game.
Every once in a
I
while,
have to
maybe like
find-
the World Cup games,
I have to find me a new wife or
or
something.
it's Barcelona or Manchester
Appreciates-
City.
Let me finish my statement. That appreciates football. Because this woman will not sit down with me and watch football, you know?
See,
But-
I don't really understand the game.
It's about hanging out with your husband. Anyway.
No.
But see, there goes another perspective, right?
But then I fall asleep and he's like, why are you sleeping? Why are you snoring?
See, but
Kind of
here-
boring when you don't know what's going on.
But here we go, right? I could get mad at you for that. But why would I do that? You know, I have to look at your perspective and understand that, okay, that's not your passion. It's not something that attracts your attention for too long.
Right.
You
But if
know?
he turns on a cooking show, oh, I'm all there.
Exactly. A cooking show or like an 1800 black and white movie. I don't care what the movie, it could be a silent
musical.
movie. You know, so it goes back to perspective.
Right.
You know, I knew a gentleman years ago. He was married to a Filipino lady. You know those mail bride thing? What do they call them?
Mail order bride.
Mail order bride thing. It was something like that, and she told me the story. And then he went there and got her. They got married. He was, I forgot what religion he belonged to. He wasn't Catholic. He wasn't a Catholic. But whatever the religion was, I think he was Jehovah's Witness
Okay.
or Seventh-day Adventist, one of those.
Uh-huh.
What they did was, there are a few times that his wife came over to the house. This is before I even knew you.
Uh-huh.
All right? I was neighbors with them. And she came over to the house crying. And I said, well, I won't say her name. So what's going on? And she said how her husband had taken people over there. And this one time, they actually tried to, she's Catholic, by the way, I'm a Filipino.
Okay, yes.
She's
uh-huh.
Catholic. And they were trying to convert her to Seventh-day Adventist.
Oh, so not Jehovah's Witness.
Right, Seventh-day Adventist. They were trying to convert her.
Okay.
And they would go there on Saturdays. He would take them there. Because of course she wouldn't go to church with him. She
Right.
refused to go. And so we talked about, you know, maybe you should go. He's your husband. So then she decided to go with him sometimes, and they made an agreement where sometimes she would go to the Catholic church, and he allowed her to take their sons. They had 2 sons. So she could take the sons as long as she agreed that on some days she would go to the Seventh-day Adventist church with him.
Oh, so they had a compromise.
They compromised that way, right? She didn't like going there, but then, you know, her kids got exposed to both. However, despite all that, her husband tried to convert her. It wasn't good enough that she compromised. He wanted her to be a Seventh-day Adventist. And he had people go over there, and they ran water in the tub, and they forced her into the tub and dunked her head in there trying to baptize her.
Wow.
And she was really upset. And she ran over to where I lived, and she sat down with me, all soaking wet and everything. And she asked me, do you think now I'm not Catholic because they baptized me? I said, no, because it has to be your free will,
Right.
you know? And she thought about just divorcing him. But as Catholics, you know, that's not something we don't take a wedding lightly.
No.
And so we talked about it, and I presented to her the idea of karma, even though she was Catholic. At that time, I was already studying the teachings. And she stayed with him the whole time. And even after I moved out of that neighborhood, she was still with him. And
Wow.
the relationship improved. It actually improved. So, just to show you, she changed her perspective. Because she starts looking at, okay, he thinks that I will go to where because I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist. So whatever they were teaching him there, he really believed that.
Right.
While as a Catholic, she was looking at him saying he's going to go to where.
Because he's not baptized Catholic.
Okay? So there were two different perspectives.
Right.
Who's right, right? Isn't that something?
Indeed.
And we know because of the teachings, that neither one was right.
Right.
But that's the way they stuck with that. But because she changed her perspective and started from a standpoint of, what? I'm not going to argue about this. I'm going to respect his perspective. All of a sudden, things calmed down. Things calmed down, and they stopped arguing. And she would take her boys to the Catholic Church on some days and go with him to a Seventh-day Adventist, and he just left her alone after a while. Because I guess it's interesting. When you stop fighting, people leave you alone. When you continue fighting, they want to prove that they're right.
Yep.
But if you just let them have their say and you just thank them like you were saying, they back off because there's no more thrill in it.
Right.
No?
When there's no more resistance.
It goes back to that
Dead
law.
topic.
Is that law of non-resistance, right?
Right.
So okay, sit down, share with me what you want to share. They share it. It's okay, thank you.
Exactly.
Could we come back next week? Sure, I could come back next week, sit with them for 2-3 hours. They go through the whole thing. But you're not going to change who you are. You're not going to
That's right.
get converted. And they realize that. You just keep running. Remember, I'm not going to convert. You can sit down and talk to me. I'll listen. But don't try to convert me. It's not happening. Done. And you don't argue after that.
Right.
So that's where the whole thing about not feeling supported can go away. If you're living with someone and the person, you feel that they're not supporting you, then understand that you shouldn't expect that from them.
Right.
But you can still live your life, and do the things that you're supposed to do, which is always operate with unconditional love.
That's right.
And whenever you start looking at an individual and start to get bad feelings about that person, it's time to change that frequency and visualize them being that perfect spouse or perfect parent, partner.
Right.
And you have the perfect relationship. You don't go and fall for that thing of, oh yeah, they're really terrible. Because what you put out is what you get.
Yeah. Don't stay in that victim mentality, because then you'll both be victims, and there will always be that butting of heads, that resistance there. So let it go.
What happens if you're always arguing? What do?
Stop. Just listen to the other side and thank them for expressing how they feel and what they think. Be done with it. I mean, I've even told my siblings, let's agree to disagree. We're fine with it. Even my mom, let's agree to disagree on this topic. Okay, Laura, we're done.
And it's done. Exactly. So it's not about you proving that you're right.
Right.
See, the only reason why you'll spend time arguing is because you believe you're right and you want to prove that you're right.
And you're trying to get somebody to do something that you want them to do.
Exactly. And there's this saying that goes, a wise man or woman or a wise person knows when to be quiet. And you know when to be quiet when you know that no matter how much time you spend on something, you're not going to make any progress. So just stop, because you're wasting your time. And just focus on you. Focusing on you and helping them as well by visualizing them being that perfect person all the time.
That's right. I hope this video has helped you in some way. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.